Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the value. When to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive, thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter if you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making. Now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't. Welcome. We are live. Welcome back to Mrs. Danielle DeVita. I am Danielle, and this is my husband, Lawrence.
Hello. Welcome, everybody.
So today we have a hot topic today, and we're going to be talking about prenup.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, yes. So before we do that, let's go ahead and get a housekeeping rules settled here. So if this is your first time watching, thank you for taking the time to watch my content. If you like what you hear, go ahead and please follow me on all social media platforms. I am on Instagram, TikTok. I do have a podcast on Anchor, Feminine Energy with Danielle DeVita. I'm also on the Philip Scott Show, so you can follow me there. It's his channel, and I just contribute by putting in a few videos here and there. So you can also go to my YouTube and subscribe. So I do want to let you know, I do have if you need coaching, you are able to go to my website, mrsdanielledevita.com, to book for coaching today, as I am a relationship and femininity coach. I do have a book coming out very soon, Command Respect from the Woman You Want. It is a quick guide for men. And don't worry, I got you, ladies. And if you are a teenage girl, I got you as well. And those books will be coming out shortly at the very top of this year. So you'll definitely take a look into that. You can see the number, the information on the screen, and the number to call in, 816-1813. Or you can just go to the comment box, or if you want to chat and be on video, on camera, you can click the link that's in the Restream, because we're on Restream now. You can click that link. All right. So let's get started and talk about prenup. Yeah. So before we provide our opinion about how we feel about prenup from a female and a male perspective, let me go ahead and just give a rundown of what a prenup is. So most people, you hear about the term prenup. You can also get a postnuptial. Prenup stands for prenuptial, and postnuptial is after marriage, and you are able to do that. Cool. So the main things that's necessary. So the very first thing that you need to understand, that some contracts must be in writing to be enforceable. Okay. So if you have a contract, you can't say it's verbal. It's not an oral contract. Those are not enforceable when in regards to prenuptials and postnuptials. It must be in writing, because if not, it violates the statute of frauds. Right. So understand that. It must be in writing to be enforceable. The next thing is there must be full disclosure. You kind of hear about full disclosure when we talk about divorce. And most people think that it's eerie talking about prenuptials and postnuptials, because you're like, why are you talking about divorce? You're not actually talking about divorce. You're just saying, in the event that something happens, we already know what to do as far as our property, our assets, and liability.
Makes things easier.
Right. So things like child custody, time sharing, child support, those things are not supposed to be prenuptials and postnuptials. The only thing that's supposed to be there are things, that are concerning your assets and how it's going to be divided up. So spousal support, that is going to be in there, how you would divide that up, and whether there's a waiver of spousal support. Because of that, most states require full disclosure, telling all about your assets. So you're not hiding assets and pretending like you don't have any. So that's very imperative that you do make sure there's full disclosure. The thing that has prenuptial agreements or postnuptial agreements canceled or voided out is the fair part, the fairness, where it's one-sided. One person gets all the benefits and the other person is not getting the benefits and not aware of the benefits. That means you may want to make sure that both of you have your own independent legal counsel to look over the documents to avoid that. You hear about on TV, like in California, the celebrities, they have, well, we need to have sex every night, or You can't lose. You can't gain this much weight. Those things are usually not enforceable because sometimes they're unreasonable. Unreasonable. The legal term you probably hear is unconscionable. So it's something that's unrealistic. That's day-to-day tasks, things that you're supposed to do. Those things are not going to be in there. You must have things that like you may hear infidelity. You have to be married this amount of time to get this much spousal support. Every year you get this amount of money. Gotcha. Or if there's infidelity on your part, this is what happens. Those are okay. But a lot of times people don't realize that certain things that you put in there will not be enforceable. Having people to do certain chores. Courts don't really like that. All right. So, and people sometimes elope. They forget to get a prenup. That's what postnuptials can be for. So
after you get married, you can still enter into
an agreement.
Which is called a postnuptial.
It's called a postnuptial. Awesome. All right. So a lot of people say, especially women, that means you don't trust me. That's why you're getting a prenup. What do you think about that?
I feel like, whatever you came into the marriage with should be still considered yours in a sense, if that marriage ends. Obviously once you come together as one, you combine your assets and things like that. But if for any reason the marriage ends, then I don't feel that either party should come in with less than what they go out of the marriage with less than what they came in, and vice versa. So especially for people who are wealthy or rich, they definitely, I think you should protect your assets. And even when you speak about from a woman's point of view, same thing for a man. Like, for instance, if a man marries a wealthy woman, it should still be the same thing. She should want to protect herself.
Right.
It's, I think that's just like anything,
Right. And I think that if you are a woman listening and you're scared of prenups, the thing is your advantage. Prenups are good. They help you. They protect you as well. It's a form of negotiation because you can put things in there as well. Most of the time, people are scared of the thought, or they think it's only for rich people. If you know you're going to be somebody or make money, then you can still get a prenup. I will let you know that most prenups are minimum $500, and depending on how much assets you have and how thick the agreement's going to be, it could be well over $6,000.
Wow.
So yeah.
Expensive.
And keep in mind here, this is our conversation is not creating some type of attorney-client privilege or anything like that. So this is just basic information, which you can also find online. But I'm just trying to give you a rundown so you can understand, one, how much it costs, two, what is required to make it enforceable, and how it can benefit both parties. Because if my husband said, I want to get a prenup or a postnuptial, well, now we've been married, then that's fine. It's to divvy up assets. But keep in mind that, like, let's say I came in and had assets prior to being with him, and he already had his own assets. We can keep them separate. However, if we take the assets, so let's say I had my grandmother's home, and we, as a married couple, use our marital income to fix that house up, use it, and then take the proceeds and put it back in our account together as our income. Courts may see that as now a marital asset. So keep in mind.
If you have a prenup.
Well, if you have a prenup, you can try to make some type of agreement, but courts will still look at that as a marital asset. If most of your money is commingling with that particular asset. Now, if I always had that home and I kept it as my home and never really did anything or use it out, didn't use our income. Right, but keep in mind that even if you had inheritance, but you're using that, you're benefiting the home together with it, and also keep in mind that if you were someone who did not work, let's say I do not work, I fix the home up, I use it as our marital home, whatever, I use all our funds to fix up the home, even if I don't work, they're still considered my marital property as well. Right. So people think that, since I don't have any money, I don't get anything. No. And most states have homestead. So you still, especially community property states, will consider that your property as well, even if you are not working. So realize that prenups are there to help you, not to hurt you. So if the man that you're with saying, because most men are asking for prenups than women, if they say, I want a prenup, you say, cool. Now let's go ahead and put how much I get in here for how much time I'm married to you. For every year, this spousal report. Every year is this. If this happens, if there's infidelity on your part, I get X amount of money. If this happens, so yeah, it's all about money because that's usually what it's about. Financial assets being divided. I think we have someone that wants to place a comment. We can go ahead and have you on and hear what you have to say if you're still there. Let's see. And Michelle Turner says, "Hi, my beautiful niece. Great information. Thank you. How you doing, Michelle?" All right, so let's take a look here. If you're still there, David, let's see. I don't see your video up, so turn your camera on, and then we can put you on camera if you'd like to be on camera. So, it looked like you went off. All right, but if you guys do want to get back on, if you want to get on camera, you can go ahead and click the link, and we can put you on camera. She said hello to both of you. Yes. And then if you're afraid, if you're camera shy, it's okay. There's a number on the screen that you can call, and we will take your call if you just want to have your voice heard, or you can just place a comment in the chat. All right. So again, if someone, how do you feel about someone saying, "Hey, we've been married, but let's do a postnuptial"? Wow, and they've been married for a while. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean that's probably a more difficult conversation, I would say. I mean that's a conversation that would bring a lot more questions because I feel like if you're asking for a postnuptial after you both invested time into that relationship, then I feel like to me there's a sense of greed there. Like for instance, let's just say I hit the lotto, right? And then after I hit the lotto, I'll come to you and say, "Hey, let's get a postnuptial." How would you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, after you hit the lotto, then yeah, that would be concerning. But because I would know how to negotiate, I see, that could be just the legal side of me. Think of it as life insurance. When you guys hear about life insurance, some people are spooked and they're like, "Ooh, I'm thinking about death." Well, no, we're thinking about how we can protect each other in the event of an incident, because it would be very sad if something happened to me and all the money went towards my funeral and then you're suffering, right? So we're thinking about financially. How can we be financially sound in the event of a situation? And this is no different. How can we be financially sound in the event that we are no longer together? What happens to our home? What happens to our assets? What happened to this property over here? What happens to these things? How can I get spousal support? And are we getting spousal, because some states, after a certain amount of time you're married, because, we hear about celebrities who've been married for 6 months or a year and they didn't put in that much work, but they're getting a lot, right? So prenups are very important. And if you both have money, then yeah, you can sign where none of you guys get anything. You come with how you came. However, if I'm someone that you pick me up from McDonald's and then we get married and you're this guy who went to Yale and have all these assets and then you tell me I get nothing, that's where my negotiating skills need to come into play. That's where I need to have my own attorney. That's where, so don't have that other person's attorney look into it. Have what we call an independent attorney, someone separate from their attorney, because their attorney has their interests at best, right? So if you're scared of a prenup or postnup, I would ask them why. What are their thoughts about it? Because postnuptials, like he said, is usually after you elope, after you just got married. But if you're doing this after years of marriage, the question is why? Why are you doing this now?
I would ask the same question with someone who got a postnuptial even after you eloped or got married. Like, why? Because I feel like at that point, that's a conversation that should have been had prior to you, making the commitment of being married. So it really should be a prenup, right? Prenuptial conversation prior to getting married instead of getting married and now I want to have a postnuptial.
Right. Sometimes people do things so quickly they don't think clearly. Granted, everyone does not need a prenup. Okay. But in this, like, we don't have a prenup. So it doesn't necessarily mean
We were
you have
broke
to
when
get.
we got married, so we ain't had no money.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
How old were we? How old were we?
24
No, we weren't 24.
when we got married. Yeah.
No, No, we weren't.
23, about to be
22. I was 22.
You're 22?
I met. Yeah, we met at 21. So at 22, we got married. Okay, so we didn't really have any money, but some people still get it because they know they're going to be someone. They know they're going to go to law school. They know that they're going to go to be a doctor. They know they're going to go to pro ball, right? Mm-hmm. So some people know that they're going to be someone and they do a prenup. But again, just to prove that you don't want this person's money, I wouldn't waive your rights. You put time, you have to deal with people, their personalities, you deal with time, children, and you want to make sure that both of you have a good end of the deal. So you want it to be fair. A fair prenup.
I think that's fair. I don't have a problem with prenups at all. Like, I feel like, if you're really committing yourself to somebody to actually be with that person, then the rest really doesn't matter to a sense. But to your point, I do feel like you do have to be smart and intelligent enough to say, okay, I'm signing this prenup, but if we're married for 10, 15 years and then you just decide to leave me, what do I have to show for all that time I invested? So I agree with you 100%. Here's another question I have for you. So if you sign a prenuptial agreement, right? Let's say the person's married for 10 years, they built this life together, and then let's say one of the people want to get divorced, right? So does that other person have the ability to receive alimony for time served in that marriage?
Well, yeah. So everyone knows that even if you have a prenup, states have what they call spousal support, which is alimony. And then depending on how many years you've been married, that's what you get. And it also depends on your work ability and things like that. If you have a prenup, that's going to be in there. You would say what a person get. And they, like I said, you can set up provisions and clauses as regards to that. So for so many years we've been married, this is how much I get. So you could have it where you get X amount of money if we only been together for 1 year. If you stay with me for 3 years, we get this. If you stay for 5 years, you get this. If you stay for 10 years, you could set it up like that. And then you can have a clause in there that this amount, it could be deducted if there's infidelity. Things like that.
So you hear that, folks? Don't be afraid of the prenuptial agreement. Just make sure it works in your favor.
Right. But now, because I think this is something that men would most likely do. So I would be careful to have too many clauses and provisions around domestic tasks. Like, oh, she can't gain 15 pounds, or she has to cook 3 times a day, or, I should get compensated this amount sexually this amount of times, because some of these provisions and clauses could be could make the agreement void, make it, unenforceable. So you have to look to your state to that, talk to an attorney about that. But most of the time, judges don't like all of these domestic type details. It's supposed to be things only regarding finances, assets, spousal support, which is alimony, but not necessarily things regarding children and time sharing and child support.
So, question for you: why do women see such an issue with a prenuptial agreement? Since, like you said, mostly, majority of people doing prenuptial agreements are men. So why would women have issues with that? Why would they take offense to a prenuptial agreement?
No, there's usually 2 reasons why. A woman who does not understand how prenups work and that it's supposed to benefit both parties, she may look at it as, so you have money, you think I'm trying to take your money, like as a trust thing. Right. So, or the person who does want to take your money, now that you're blocking them from doing that. So they're going to lash out and say, you don't trust me, but really they can't be trusted.
So what you're saying is that's a great vetting tool in a sense, right? Or what I should say is that's a great way to even further understand how your mate or your significant other is thinking, and if that's the right person for you. If that comes up.
Well, I think you may find out in regards to their finances and how they view money, you may find it out even before you bring up prenup, because how they're trying to spend your money while you guys are together. Do they
Good
think
point.
that they
Good
are
point.
entitled to your money now? Because some women think that they're entitled to your money. Like they hold their hand out, like you're supposed to give them cash all the time, or always do stuff for them. That requires finances, pay their bills, and you guys are just in the early dating phase.
Right.
So you don't even have to wait to get the prenup phase, because you would know how she views money or how she views your money early on. And if that's the person, I wouldn't still be with them and try to do the prenup. I really wouldn't. I would be with someone who's sensible about money and understand that this is something earned, because earning a man, men don't mind. I don't think men mind providing, but I don't think men want entitled women. So I think
Correct.
if he realizes that you are not trying to be after his money, but you want him, he will gladly pour out his wallet to you. And he probably may not want to do a prenup, but if he knows he has money, I think it's smart to do that. I think it is, because as a woman, and I hate to say this, I think that depending on how upset you get this woman, every woman has a dark side. Every man has a dark side.
Yeah.
So you never know how people get. People can be awesome, people can be great, but when you tick them off, you'll see a side of them that you've never seen before. Right? And then you be like, whoa.
Yeah.
People can tell you when you go through breakups, divorces, when it's time for child support, people can be so vindictive, and you've never known for them to be like that.
That's true. I agree with that. And I say to another point you bring up too, finances are, an intricate part to why a lot of marriages don't work and a lot of marriages fail, is because of a lack or disagreement of how finances are handled and managed. So, like to your point, that's really good to see how your significant other, handles finances and handles their own finances before jumping into a serious relationship.
I agree. Because that really is a big thing. Finances, how you spend together, and before you guys spend your money together as a married couple, you'll see how they spend their money, their own money, and then how they also spend your money in the dating phase. Do you see them being sensible with their money, but spending too much of your money, or do they not ask a lot? It depends on also how they grew up, how they view money. Men, because
Right.
some people view men as just a bag. You hear that term often. You're just a bag. So some people view men as a bag. Some people view men as just a wallet. So you have to make sure that she wants you for you. I've said this often. The best way to even find out how she views you and your money is start off with dates that are not always at night. You can have evening dates. I say this also if women are worried about the whole sexual component and they don't want to do that. But what do you think about dates, like breakfast dates or lunch dates?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even for, like from a man's point of view, I think that's really good. Even when I was in the dating world, I used to do a lot of lunch dates and things like that. Dates don't always have to be where you spend the money. It's really supposed to be about getting to know the person. So, that's a great way to gauge a person's personality off the bat, is by asking them, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee, or let's go for a walk in the park. And if they're like acting really snobby because you're not taking them to a nice restaurant or something like that, then that's probably a personality you want to kind of stay away from.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to know ahead of time. But that doesn't mean that if she does a great job and not taking your money, that you still don't want to do a prenup.
Right.
If you're a person who has a lot of property because you do a lot of real estate, you do flips and you do things like that, that your money is going to be tied in the property and you're going to be in, well, I shouldn't say flips, but if you do a lot of rentals, because that's money that you're going to keep coming, it's like property attached to you. If you have a lot of stocks, investments, you want to make sure that the property is divided up accordingly. If you want it to be part of marital property and that income comes in the flow of the home, great, by all means. But if you want to keep something separate, or if you want to say, hey, this is business I had before you, so when we leave, I don't want you having any interest in the business. I'd like for you to go your way with your interests and your business and your things, and I go my way and mine. And things that we acquired during the marriage, we'll keep that and properly divide that up 50-50.
Correct.
So the house thing, because a lot of men have the issue of, she took the house and I don't have anything. Well, if we had a prenup, I wouldn't be mad if he said, you know what, when we get a divorce, not that we're going to, when we get a divorce, let's just sell the house. You get your own, I get my own. That way you have 50% to go do what you need to get another house, so you won't be in an apartment and I'm sitting in this big old house.
Right.
Right? A lot of times, because if women have children, the court is going to say she should be in the house because you don't want to uproot the child from their home, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be smart, if I really cared about his well-being, to say, let's divide the house up. Let's set it up where if we know we're going to go through a divorce, we go ahead and try to buy another home or apartment or whatever we're going to do, and then divide the house up in 50. Unless, and you have a clause, unless the house is upside down. But if the house is in proper equity and the market is right, we divide the house 50-50, and then we go buy separate houses. Yeah. And then whenever it's time for custody of the children, because that's going to be separate, you go and create a different agreement for child custody and time sharing, and then you either have the judge decide or you can give the judge your agreement that way. And then that's how you guys can properly and maturely set things aside. Now, again, all that child stuff is not going to be inside your prenup. That's something separate when it's time for that. Or you don't even have to go through that part. You guys can make an agreement yourself what you're going to do. Now, like I said, the things that are not going to be in the prenup, I think you guys can make a contract on your own. Like, do you vow, if you're not pregnant, vow not to gain more, to not be more than 27% BMI. Yeah. You know, because I think 25 is 24.9 is normal. Yeah. So you're slightly overweight. You can vow to do that. I won't put that in the prenup, but you can make a personal thing to do that. Make personal things to, can you do X, Y, and Z? But as far as our money, let's divide the house up, divide our assets up, figure out what's yours, what's mine now, so we won't have to do that with court. Right. So I don't know. How would you feel about that? If I said, you know what, the cars that we drive the most, we keep. If we had a car together, we decide who takes the car, and then we divide the house up in 50-50. Does that sound bad? Does that seem like everyone's getting a fair deal or too much?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, divorce probably sucks in either way you look at it, but I mean, you want to try to be as fair and amicable as possible, and hopefully everybody's on good enough terms so you're not trying to spitefully hurt the other person. But if that was the case, you wouldn't have mediation and all these other things. So right. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, because a lot of times people are upset because they feel like the woman gets the best end of the deal. She gets the house, she gets the car, she gets everything, and all that man has built and worked for, he's still having to pay for the house that he can't live in, and he's in some type of rundown apartment.
Yeah, that's probably why men get prenuptial.
Yes, so I think, in my opinion, even if you're a man who does not have money, because whether you have money or not, you could potentially go through divorce. Divorce is 50%, right? Now, I think if you don't have money, I would still get a prenup, right? But remind you, prenups are like minimum $500. So I would get a prenup, a basic one, if you are someone who's middle class, right? Because if you're not middle class, you probably don't really have much to divide up, no offense. But if you know that you're going to buy a house, have a car together, I would get a prenup, just to make sure people get a decent, fair end of the deal. So I agree with prenups, basically what I'm saying. I agree with prenup. If you went ahead and got a loaf and you weren't thinking about it, you can get you a postnup, right?
So we getting a prenup?
No, we've been married. We've been married like 13 years coming up. So we're not getting a prenup. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is yours.
Oh, okay.
So yes, cool. And I feel like I'm fair. I feel like, I said earlier that people can get crazy when they get vindictive and mad, but I feel like I still have emotional maturity where I'm like, you know what? I want the kids to come see you, and I don't want them to see you in some rundown apartment. Yeah. So.
Dang, you got me in a rundown apartment?
What? No, I'm saying I wouldn't want that. So it would be best to just get rid of the home, or I don't know. I'm not trying to think about divorce. I'm staying married to this one.
Cool.
So
you ain't too crazy.
I'm not too crazy.
Yeah, you ain't too crazy.
No, I'm just kind of crazy.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit to stay interesting.
A little bit. So yes, we're all for prenups. Again, like I said, postnups. But if you forget about anything that we just said in this live, the main thing before we go is it needs to be in writing. Number one, it must be in writing or it's not enforceable. Number two, it must be a fair and conscionable agreement, which means it can't be things that have unreasonable provisions and clauses or one-sided where one person gets a fair end of the deal and the other person gets a very horrible end of the deal. And number three, it must have full disclosure of all of your assets and liabilities. So you can't be shady in the whole deal. You have to have full and fair and complete disclosure. So those are the three things that you need. In almost every state, they're going to say you need those three things. Well, of course, a writing, definitely a writing in all states, but full, fair, complete disclosure is what you're going to need for all of these things. So again, we're not creating an attorney-client relationship. This is my disclaimer for that. Does anyone have any questions or any input they have about prenups and postnuptials? Because we don't hear about postnuptials, but there are such thing as postnuptials. But anyone have any comments, put it in the chat. My husband and I will make a comment. If you're watching this after the live, we'll still comment on the next time we do a live, which we do live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. So let me know your thoughts. There's a number on the screen if you want to call in real quick. So I'll give you a few minutes to either call in, get on camera by clicking the restream link or commenting. So do you have anything you want to add about prenups?
No, great question. Great show tonight. What I would say is that, maybe people who might have ideas of things that you guys want us to talk about from relationship perspectives, definitely leave that in the comment as well. It helps to grow the channel and helps to keep things engaging and, helps us to be able to kind of focus on and adhere to the things that you guys want to hear. So,
yeah, I agree. So yes, we are all for prenups. You know what? I'm grabbing his hand. I look like that Derrick Jackson and his wife with the whole hand grabbing. I promise that's not the situation. We're not doing all of this, but so yes. Anyway, thank you all for taking the time to watch. Again, if you haven't remembered, I do have a book that's coming out. So, that'll be out on Amazon. It'll be an ebook and an actual hard copy book. Command Respect from the Woman You Want. Those should be coming out in the next few weeks for that. The other ones that are be coming out real soon, the books for women. So you'll be able to check those out pretty soon. And I'll give you more information when those come out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this live going. Ending. What happened? All right, so we're going to go ahead and end this live pretty soon. Thank you all for tuning in.
Go.
All right, y'all take care. No, let's.
We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships, number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should.
My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit MrsDanielleDeVita.com, or you can go to YouTube, Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today.